All right, welcome students to this edition of video for chemistry practicals, salt analysis for class 11 and 12. Now in this particular video, we are going to explain how unknown salt that is given to you can be identified for a cation and an anion. If you look into the syllabus, you will see that this is question number 2. This is topic number 2 that is given in the practical part. The qualitative analysis identification of one cation and one anion in the given salt. Now, amongst the cations that you have to do, you have these ammonium ions are there, then lead ions are there, copper ions are there, aluminium, ferric, zinc, manganese, nickel, all these are there, cobalt, barium, strontium, magnesium. And in the case of anions, you have carbonates and you have nitrates and sulfates, acetate. Usually the phosphate and the sulfide, iodide, bromide are less often asked to, or given for identification, but the more common ones like the carbonates, the nitrates, sulfates, these are given more often. Chlorides, acetate ions, these are given more often for identification. Now there is a set way of doing or carrying out the salt analysis such that so many cations and anions that we know can be easily worked upon and can be easily identified. Now this is also there, both the class have almost the same cations and anions to be done, and in this case you will see in the notes section that is written there. This is important for you to know that in the notes section, this part I'm talking about, it says formal analytical procedure is required for qualitative analysis. Specific solvent for original solution is to be used before adding group 3 reagents to the filtrate of group 2. All right, H2S must be removed, followed by boiling with concentrated nitric acid. The right order of the buffer, NH4Cl and NH4OH, must be used. And of course, the flame test with the precipitate obtained in group 5 can be taken as one of the confirmatory tests. All right. Now, this is from your syllabus that is mentioned there. Usually, question number 3 in the question paper is the salt analysis. And it is often mentioned there that you have to do one thing. I'll just show you here that you have to prepare the sodium carbonate extract. All right, preparation of sodium carbonate extract is important because for testing of the anions, the sodium carbonate filtrate is taken. You can see here it is mentioned. For wet test of anions, sodium carbonate crystals are taken and it is heated in a beaker in the ratio of, this is what I'm talking about. All right. Sodium carbonate extract must be prepared except for the carbonate, and the filtrate obtained in the sodium carbonate extract is used for the anion analysis. Now, I will be showing you this one by one. We will be doing the entire process for the group analysis as well as for the anions. We have already prepared a video in the lab where the demonstration of the anions and the sodium carbonate extract, how it is prepared and what is to be done once it is prepared is demonstrated there in that video. Okay, so after you watch this, you can always go and watch that video to actually understand what is being said here and how it is being done in the laboratory. Now let's come to the next point here. If I remove this slide, okay. Now this is about the syllabus. Now we will actually start with the salt analysis. For that, I think I'll need a whiteboard. So I'll remove this for the time being and we can go use the whiteboard. All right, so I'm ready with this. In this salt analysis, the first thing that you do is the preparation of sodium carbonate extract. So I'm writing the name sodium carbonate extract. Okay, sodium carbonate extract is to be prepared. All right. Okay. Now, what is this sodium carbonate extract and why should it be prepared? Okay. Sodium carbonate extract is actually, you are going to take 1:3 ratio of, all right, 1:3 ratio of, okay, 1:3 ratio of the salt versus, or salt is to the sodium carbonate crystals or sodium carbonate salt. Okay, this is the given salt and this is the sodium carbonate salt. These two are mixed in the ratio of 1:3 and it is taken in a beaker, and to this about 150 ml of water is added depending upon how much of the two salts you are taking, and it is supposed to be heated and boiled for about 5 to 10 minutes, such that when the reaction that is taking place in the sodium carbonate mixture is that, suppose you have taken the magnesium sulfate salt. Now we don't know which salt has been given to us for identification. But let us say in the video also we are taking magnesium sulfate. So I'm using magnesium sulfate here. When this is reacting with sodium carbonate and it is being heated, I mean kind of it is being boiled for a long time, then in this case what happens is that magnesium carbonate is formed, which will precipitate. Magnesium carbonate is formed, which precipitates and will be seen like a turbidity in the solution. Along with this, sodium sulfate is formed. Okay, now all salts of sodium are soluble, so I don't have to worry with the sodium salts because they will be soluble in the solution, or in the solvent, that is water in the beaker. Once you have boiled it for about 5-10 minutes and the turbidity appears, what you need to do is now you will filter the solution. When you filter the solution, a precipitate will be obtained in the funnel where you have using a filter paper. So the precipitate will be there in the filter paper and the filtrate will be collected in a conical flask or whatever flask you are using. It will be collected here. This will be a clear solution. This clear solution is containing sodium salt of the anion that you have added. So this is sodium sulfate actually. It is the sodium sulfate salt which is forming the solution. Now also, since you have taken sodium carbonate in good ratio of 1:3, that means some sodium carbonate has also is also present in the filtrate, and thereby it is making the solution a little alkaline. Therefore, it is for the filtrate, it is necessary that you acidify it with a certain or a suitable acid and then proceed for the anion test. Now, why I'm telling this, I'm coming to what happens with the sodium carbonate mixture that you get. Actually, this mixture that you are getting in the beaker, you are going to filter it. So when you filter the mixture, you are going to get, when you filter the mixture, you will get the precipitate and the extract. The precipitate on the filter paper, and of course, the filtrate is obtained, which is collected in the conical flask or in a beaker or anywhere as the case may be. So filtrate. Now this precipitate on the filter paper, this should be this filter paper. This is then taken in a test tube and dissolved in HCl. This is taken in a test tube and dissolved in HCl. So when it is dissolved in HCl, the salt, the carbonate salt is going to dissolve, and what you will get is an original solution. So when this is dissolved in HCl, now you don't dissolve it on the filter paper only, you have to take it in a test tube. So dissolve the PPT in a test tube, and in HCl. All right, in dilute HCl, and what you get here is that this is the original solution that is prepared for the salt analysis of the cations. So this is basically used for testing the cations. All right, in the filtrate is actually acidified by a suitable acid. Why I am saying suitable acid is because if you are going to test the filtrate for the anion sulfate, you cannot add sulfuric acid and test for sulfate ion, because in that case you yourself are adding the sulfate ion. You cannot add HCl and test for chloride ion because you yourself are adding the chloride ion. Hence, a suitable acid is taken, meaning if I am testing for sulfate ion, I can acidify with any other acid other than sulfuric acid. If I'm testing for chloride ion, I can add any other acid other than HCl. So this is acidified, you can say soda extract, which is collected, and it is used for testing the anions for anionic analysis. All right, this is for anionic analysis. All right. Now, once you know that the sodium carbonate extract has been prepared and you are getting two things there. One is the precipitate, which is used for testing cations, and the other one is the filtrate, which is used for testing the anions. So we will first begin with the filtrate and see what are the tests involved in testing the or in identifying the anions, and then maybe we'll move to the cations. So in the next on the next page, let us do this. So the filtrate, sodium extract filtrate, okay, is taken, all right, is acidified. Let us say I am acidifying with acetic acid. All right, is acidified with acetic acid with CH3COOH. You can use a mild acid or a weak acid here. All right. Then what I will do next is we are going to use the after acidifying. Now this is what I want you to remember. It is acidified with acetic acid. Now what you can do is you will take little portion of this filtrate and you will test for the anions till you get the right one. You may be lucky enough that in the first test only you are getting the anion that you are testing for is present in the salt, or you may have to do at least 3 tests where you don't get a positive result and you have to wait for the 4th test to get the positive result. So anyway, we are taking the sodium extract filtrate acidified with acetic acid, and as normally in the copy you are supposed to make the columns. You will make columns. So I'm going to make columns, 3 columns, that is experiment, observation and deduction. So this is the experiment column, this is the observation column, and this is the deduction column. All right, this is the deduction column. Now in the deduction column, we are going to confirm which anion we have got. However, in the first one, suppose I am going to take the acidified sodium carbonate extract, sodium soda extract, acidified, all right, plus to this, let us say I am adding, barium chloride. Okay, barium chloride is a reagent for what? It is a test which will help us to find out whether the sulfate radical is present. So when I'm adding barium chloride to the sodium extract acidified with acetic acid, a white precipitate, a thick white PPT you can write, or a dense white precipitate you can write. White PPT is obtained, which is insoluble in any acid. Obtained is insoluble in any other acid. All right, in any inorganic acid you can say, is insoluble in any acid. All right, why I am writing this is because you have to add acid after adding barium chloride. When you get a white precipitate, you will add some HCl to it and you will see that the precipitate does not dissolve. This precipitate is of barium sulfate. All right, we know that barium sulfate is an insoluble salt and it will form a precipitate. So deduction, I will write sulfate ions confirmed. All right, sulfate ions confirmed. In the second, what I can do is, suppose I did not get sulfate ions. Okay, this test was not positive. Then what will I do? What are we supposed to do actually? Then we will proceed for the next test. In the next test, again, the soda extract that you are taking uh, is, let us say, containing chloride ions, because in this case we have tested for the sulfate radical. We let us now see if it is what is the test for the chloride ion. So here I will take the sodium carbonate extract and acidified soda extract I can take. All right, extract acidified, and to this you are going to add, because on the top you have already written acidified, even if you don't write it is okay, but sodium soda extract acidified, plus to this I'm going to add AgNO3 solution. All right, AgNO3 solution. What do you think is expected? A white precipitate. If chloride is present, white precipitate is obtained, white PPT, all right, is obtained, which is soluble in excess of ammonium hydroxide, which is soluble in excess of ammonium hydroxide. All right, so this you have to remember. These tests you have to remember. And if this is there, then I will write chloride ions confirmed. Again, I am telling you, remember, one salt will have only one cation. Suppose if the salt given to you is magnesium sulfate in this video that we are doing, then when you do this test, you will not get any positive result. You don't have to report the negative tests in the answer paper or in your copies or in the salt analysis. You only report the positive tests where you are able to identify a anion or a cation. Only those tests you will write. In the case of cations, of course, the system is totally different. There you have to proceed in the group. So we'll come to that afterwards. Now let's go to the third one. In the third test with the, okay, this is not writing. All right, so I'll go with the third one now. So with the third one, if I'm talking about the third test, then I can take soda extract, all right, acidified. And to this, I'm going to add freshly prepared ferrous sulfate solution. Freshly prepared ferrous sulfate solution. Freshly prepared. All right. Why freshly prepared ferrous sulfate solution? Because if you keep it for a little longer time, the ferrous ions will get converted to ferric ions, and the test may not be, seen for the nitrate ion. So this is the brown ring test that we are doing. So you are taking sodium soda extract acidified, plus you are adding freshly prepared ferrous sulfate solution in equal amounts almost, and now trickle H2SO4, and now allow H2SO4 to trickle along the inner walls of the test tube. Conk H2SO4 along the inner walls of the test tube. Along the inner walls. Why inner walls I'm writing? Because, okay, you will think that even from outside, if I do it, it will give the test. That is not the case, children. So H2SO4 is allowed to trickle through the inner walls of the test tube. And if this is the test tube that we are talking about in the video also, you will see, if this is the ferrous sulfate solution and the soda extract which has been acidified, if this is the solution, you are dropping sulfuric acid from on the side from here, then what is seen is that it's going to trickle along the inner walls, and this is how it will come, and it may, because the acid is going to be denser, it is going to trickle downwards and it is going to start collecting here. So when it starts collecting here, the brown ring is actually seen in this area where the two solutions meet. Which two solutions? Not the ferrous sulfate and the soda extract. They are miscible and they have already formed a homogeneous solution. It is the denser sulfuric acid which will settle at the bottom of the tube, and between the two there will be a brown ring that will be seen. This is called as the brown ring test. All right. So in the observation column, you will see, right, a brown ring is observed at the junction of the two liquids. Brown ring is observed at the junction of two liquids. In this reduction column, you will write nitrate ions confirmed. You will write nitrate ions confirmed. However, if the salt contains a carbonate radical, you cannot use the soda extract. Okay, because when you use soda extract, you are already adding sodium carbonate in that. So it is not a suitable way of testing the carbonate. Carbonates are tested individually. I mean, independently. What you do is you take carbonate salt, dry salt in a test tube. Into that, you have to add dilute HCl. When you add dilute HCl, effervescence is seen, and the gas that evolves, that is colorless, odorless gas that is evolved, will turn lime water milky. So that is a test for the carbonate radical. So with the soda extract, mainly what you do are the chloride ions, you are doing the sulfate ions, okay? Then you can do the nitrate ions, all right? And of course, in acetate ions you can do in this case, and of course the other anions also can be done. But these are the common ones that are usually asked in the exams. So now let's go to the group and the cations and what is the process involved there. All right. So let's go to that next page. If I'm talking about the cations, then you have to prepare the original solution first. Now, as I told you, the original solution is prepared either from the sodium carbonate extract, or what you can do is you can dissolve the salt in water, and depending upon whether the salt is soluble in water or not, you can warm the solution. If it is not dissolving, warm the water. Still, if it is not dissolving, then you can add dilute HCl. However, another method is where you will take original solution prepared from soda extract, where the filtrate on the precipitate on the filter paper is dissolved in dilute HCl, and the original solution has been prepared. So the first step is the preparation of OS. This is what you call it in short, that is OS. All right. Once the original solution is prepared, you are ready for the group analysis. The first test that you do is for group 0. Now, if I look into what I'm talking about, group and all, is in the theory classes, it has already been explained to you. But you know that the groups here that we are talking about have nothing to do with the periodic table group. Okay, there are two fundamental principles on which the salt analysis is based. One is the common ion effect, and the other one is the solubility product concept. The ionic product, when it exceeds the solubility product, the salt is supposed to precipitate from the solution that is there. Now, if I look into the analysis for the cation, the group analysis, the first is the group 0, where you don't have to take the OS, but you have to take the dry salt. Into this, you're going to add an alkali. So again, I'm going to draw 3 columns for writing the experiment, observation, and deduction. Okay. In this case here, original solution. All right, fine. I can remove this. So let me just tell you once again, this is the dry salt and the alkali. We are warming, no gas evolved, group 0 absent. Then we are using original solution plus dilute HCl, no PPT observed, group 1 absent. If group 1 cations were present, that is lead, mercury and silver, then the chlorides would have precipitated in this case. In this case, in the third step, you are doing original solution plus dilute HCl plus H2S, no PPT observed, group 2 absent. You know that in this step, there is the common ion effect that comes into play. H2S is bubbled in presence of HCl. HCl is a strong acid. H2S is a weak acid. So in presence of HCl, the dissociation of H2S is suppressed, and therefore limited number of sulfide ions are available. These ions are going to precipitate the cations of group 2 if they are present. Since they are not present, we will write no PPT observed, group 2 absent. Then again, in the next case, you will take a fresh portion of the OS, fresh portion of OS is taken, and in this you are going to add, see the sequences has to be maintained. You will take NH4Cl plus NH4OH. All right, you will take NH4Cl plus NH4OH. Now, when you add it in this way, if the cations of group 3 are present, again here you see it is going to behave in the same way. Due to the presence of ammonium chloride, ammonium hydroxide will show less dissociation, and therefore less number of hydroxide ions will be formed. Now you can very well understand that the sequence has to be maintained. If we do not maintain the sequence, then you see in this case also you are adding ammonium chloride, and these ammonium chloride, the chloride ions may be just enough to precipitate the cations of group 1. Hence, only after testing that the group 1 cations are not there, we proceed, and in group for the analysis of group 3, we are adding ammonium chloride and ammonium hydroxide. So all these things have been kept in mind when this group analysis was actually designed. Okay, so the fresh portion of original solution plus NH4Cl plus NH4OH, again no PPT observed, and hence we will write group 3 absent. Okay, all right. Now next, let's go to the fifth step here. Into the above solution bubble H2S. Why I am writing into the above solution? Because the reagent for group 5 are ammonium chloride, ammonium hydroxide and H2S. So we can bubble into the above solution bubble H2S. All right. If you don't want to write it like this, then you will write the full thing, OS plus NH4Cl plus NH4OH plus H2S. So into the above solution bubble H2S. All right. So we are going to bubble H2S. So when we bubble H2S, then in this case, if the cations of group 5 are present, then they are going to precipitate as the sulfides. All right. But see, sulfides we have also seen in group 3, but there the number of sulfide ions were very limited. Here the number of sulfide ions have increased because the dissociation of H2S has been enhanced due to the presence of a basic medium, that is NH4OH. All right. So anyway, since no precipitate is obtained, so I will write no PPT observed, and here I will write group 4 absent. All right. So group 4 absent. This is what I'm going to write here. Let's go to the next page. In the next page, you will see we will go with the step 6, where we will be discussing the group 5 cations. So again, I'm going to draw a experiment. I'm going to draw one line here and one line here to discuss this. Now see, in the step 6, step number 6, okay, we are going to take, since if, because see that till now we are reporting that none of the cations are present, so we need to proceed. Had we got a cation somewhere in the group 3 or group 4, then we don't have to proceed further. So here I will take a fresh portion of original solution. So OS I will take, plus to this I'm going to add ammonium chloride. Now, why is it necessary that we take a fresh portion of OS, because you have to remove H2S. The one way to do that is that you will actually boil the solution to remove H2S. But here, since we are taking a fresh portion, no need to boil the solution. So we will take original solution, to which we are going to add ammonium chloride plus ammonium hydroxide. Okay. And to this we will add ammonium carbonate. All right, NH4 whole 3 CO2. All right, so ammonium carbonate. If group 5 cations are present, you get a white precipitate. In the subsequent video, we have shown all the precipitation of all the cations in group 5. So you can refer to that video to see the test. Okay, barium, calcium, barium, strontium and calcium have been tested in that sequence, so that you understand what is to be done exactly. However, here, since no precipitate is obtained, no PPT obtained, I'm going to write group 5 absent, because then I don't have to worry further. So group 5 absent. All right. Next, then we come to the one that you will see in the video about the testing of the magnesium ions. If all the cations are absent from 0 to group 6, group 5, only then you will proceed for doing the group 6, because you cannot test group 6 if you have not carried out the test, any of the tests between group 0 and group 5. All right, children, because all these cations above group 6, that is all the cations present from group 1 to group 6, they all precipitate in the reagent that is used for group 6 magnesium ions. Again, group 6 does not have a particular reagent. Okay, it has separate reagents for the separate ions that are there. One of the other ions that are there is sodium, but you don't have to do sodium. Since you only have to do magnesium, we will be just doing that magnesium. So here again, what is done is the above solution in the group 5 can be boiled and cooled, and ammonium hydroxide can be added, or you can straight away take the original solution. Actually, it is always preferable to write that the above solution is boiled. Okay, so here I will write OS plus NH4OH. All right, to this, the reagent in this case is sodium hydrogen phosphate, NaH2 dihydrogen phosphate you can take, or sodium hydrogen, disodium hydrogen phosphate you can take, ammonium hydrogen phosphate you can take. It is a phosphate radical which is important. Okay, this phosphate radical has to be there. When this is added, a white precipitate is seen. Sometimes the white PPT is not very easily observed. All right, so you have to scratch the inner walls of the test tube with the help of a glass rod, and the white precipitate will be seen. So in this case, then I will write that group 6 present. This is the way to write it. You have to write group present, you have to mention group 6, and then you will write magnesium ions confirmed. Magnesium ions confirmed. All right. Now, when I'm writing this, from what we have done so far, you can understand that the salt that you will be reporting in the practical copy is of magnesium sulfate. All right. There are 3 salts that you will be reporting this year. One is magnesium sulfate. The other one is an aluminium salt, and the third one is a barium. I think barium nitrate. All right. So these are the 3 salts that you can write in the practical copy for salt analysis. Once this analysis is done, what you will write at the end is conclusion. The given salt contains, in the conclusion you will write, the given salt contains cation. You don't write the name of the salt completely. You will just write that the cation present is, or the cation detected or identified, and the anion identified. Okay, this is how you are supposed to write the answer. This is the conclusion, the last part of the salt analysis. Okay, now again, let me tell you, this is one of the videos where we have shown how to report salt analysis We have shown how to prepare the sodium carbonate extract, how to obtain the extract for the filtrate, and the filtrate is then used for anionic analysis, and of course the group analysis for the cations also we have shown in the video. The theory part you have very clearly, or very, I hope you have understood that in the ionic equilibria chapter. Once you do that chapter and you try to relate the fundamental principles of salt analysis, that is the common ion effect and the solubility product values, the understanding of the salt analysis becomes easier. So this is the systematic way. The last part that I will show you is the pattern in which the salt analysis has to be written. So in the pattern, first thing that you will write is the sodium carbonate, preparation of the soda extract. Okay. The first part is preparation of soda extract or sodium carbonate extract. Okay. Then you need to describe the method in a paragraph form and write it down there. Then the second one that you will write is, suppose you are doing the salt analysis, the cationic analysis or identification of the basic radical, cation or basic radical, then you have to start writing from original solution. So then you will write original solution, preparation, how was it prepared? This you have to mention. Okay, this is done. Then after this, you will do the group analysis. That is, in which group is the cation present. So for this, you will need the proper copy or something to show the columns and everything properly. After the group analysis for the cations is done, okay, then you can go to third is the identification of the anions. Identification of anions. All right, there's no need for these identification. Like suppose if you are doing the cations, first you are writing the cation, then you can write the anions. But you can also reverse the order. You can write the identification of the anions first, and then you can write the identification of the cations, and then the fourth is going to be the conclusion. So the fourth is the conclusion. So this is how you are supposed to report. So if you actually see your answer sheet, it's going to look like this. I mean the first sheet. So this is soda extract preparation. All right. Then the paragraph form you will write. Okay. Then you will write preparation of OS. All right. Then you will draw the columns to report the experiments. Then you will write down the group analysis, because we have just done the group 6 where we don't have to do the group analysis. In the rest of the groups, you will have to do the group analysis also. Like for example, in group 3, you got the cation. Now, which cation is that? Whether it is aluminium, iron, which one? To analyze that, again, the precipitate is dissolved in a suitable reagent, and then it is tested for the 2 cations. So that part will also be there. Maybe we'll explain that in the theory class when we are doing the chapter on salt analysis. So I guess this is good enough for you to understand. And I hope you all have understood actually. So that's it. Maybe these are the slides we did. Okay. All right, children. And so I think, let me thank you for connecting for this video, for watching the video. It is for you only, children, that we are taking the trouble to prepare these videos. And we expect that all of you will see the video and report accordingly. This is the first video on the salt analysis. All right. The second video is a shooting of the process that we have done in the laboratory. All right. And after that, there is a third video, which is the live, you can say, live practical class that was held in the chemistry lab in our school. And of course, subsequent videos will also be uploaded. For till then, these are the videos that you have to see, and you have to report your salt analysis. So thank you, children, and stay safe and stay blessed.